Hi, I'm John Sutherland, and I'm the president and founder of Innova Inc. For 30 years, we've been helping companies of all sizes innovate like the best of them. And I'd like to talk to you about a conversation we could have about how you can get your innovation team, or whatever it is you call it, to act, think, and get results like disruptive leaders. But before I tell you about that conversation, I'd like you to watch this 3-minute video clip about disruptive leaders, because it's germane to that conversation. I'll see you after the clip. Disruptive leaders get amazing results. Elon Musk of SpaceX, Tesla, and Solar City, Sarah Blakely of SpanX, and Jeff Bezos of Amazon. It's their mindset. It's the disruptive leader's mindset that makes it possible. But they are not alone. Thousands upon thousands of disruptive leaders work every day in startups and company skunkworks. Their mindset centers on core beliefs of what makes them successful in the 21st century. And 3 of them are: embrace uncertainty. When disrupting, the number of unknowns is vast. It's huge. But they don't fear the scope because the risk is high. They embrace it because they know that after they solve it, they will have huge barriers to entry. And they address it by breaking it down to its minimal possible starting point and then test the hell out of it. Each test chipping away at the uncertainty framework until it's either solved or shelved for another day. Which leads us to a second mindset: embrace failure. Unlike many companies where failure is not an option, disruptive leaders understand that failure is inevitable. So they embrace the learning that well-designed experiments provide. And they reduce their cost with a portfolio approach where individual ideas are failed early and cheap. Contrast that to corporate rollouts of multi-million-dollar projects that sometimes go nowhere. Which leaves us to a third mindset. They live for users. They recognize that users, not project managers, not managers, not executives, it's users that have the final say. So they go way beyond surveys. All the way through their processes, they listen. And they feel their pain. They empathize. It's these mindsets and others that set them apart and achieves their incredible results. So the real challenge for people who want to join the ranks of disruptive innovators goes far beyond learning techniques. It's unraveling the corporate formatting and adopting and living the disruptive leader mindset. Hi, I'm back. In 30 years of conversations with CEOs, presidents, executive vice presidents, and the like, there's one question they kept asking me, and it was something like this. My people are really great people, but they're not Steve Jobs or Zuckerberg. Can you really get them to behave like disruptive leaders? And I'd come back and I'd say, yes, you can. There's a couple of criteria though. First of all, they have to be intelligent. And second of all, they have to really, really want to change. They have to really, really want to do that. Because they're going to learn that some of the things that they thought about innovation actually are going to get pushed out the window. And during that journey of uncovering how it is to actually transform somebody's mindset, we uncovered what we call 3 secrets. And it's those 3 topics that I want to talk to you about in the conversation that we can have. And now I want to give you a little taste of what these topics are. The first one is principles. And the reason that that's important is if you're going to disrupt like disruptive leaders, then you're taking on a lot of uncertainty. And what that means is there's going to be tons and tons of decisions you're going to have to make, all the way from the discover stage where you go out and find problems that you want to solve for users, whether they're customers or distribution channel or your employees. It doesn't really matter. And there's a whole series of decisions you have to make there, all the way through all the stages until you get to the end when you're scaling up a business. And yes, there really are occasions when you have to start a whole new business around this whole new product suite that you've built. And the principles have little sayings underneath them. And it's the sayings as they get to a decision point that make sure they're making the optimal decision. And as an example of that, one of the principles is called learn as we go. And what that causes people to do, let's say if they're going to build a prototype to test with users, is to really stop and question themselves. Are we getting the right learning from this prototype? Is this what we should be learning? And that's important, because if you don't ask yourself that question, if you don't stop and do that, then you'll likely make the wrong decision, which means the probability of failure just went up. So that's the first topic I'm going to be talking about. The second topic is the governance structure. And governance in this kind of an innovation team is very different. It's very flat. But beyond that, what's important is that people understand the roles that they play. Because everybody gets a chance to play multiple roles, not just one of them. And that's very different from what normally happens inside of an organization. So it's that piece, along with the metrics that you use to measure success along the way of the portfolio that you construct. It's the minimal number of roles that they need to play and the metrics that they are moving towards that cause them to move at great speed. And it's these two things I've talked about so far, the principles and the governance, that come together that actually create the mindset. It changes how it is they make decisions, and it focuses them on exactly what it is that they need to be doing. But there's a third one that's equally important, and that's the mandate. And this is a living document. And what the mandate does is give to this team an understanding of the environment in which the organization is facing and the goals that they are trying to achieve along with it. And that document gives them the direction that they need to be following to make sure that what they're doing is aligned to the ever-changing requirements of the organization. It's these three things, the principles, the governance, and the mandate, that wrap around the techniques that allow the disruptive mindset to come into being. So what does that feel like when a team like this actually starts to be disruptive leaders? So let me tell you a quick story. So we're working with a client, and the president and the sponsor got together to discuss an opportunity that they had found. And the opportunity that they found is that one of the segments in a marketplace that they were trying to go after turned out to be extremely influential to all the players in that market. And they also found out that nobody in the industry was particularly doing a good job with the problems that this segment had. And so what they decided was they were going to change everything. They were talking about distribution, compensation, the revenue models, everything associated with how it is they were going to go to that market. And the reason that they did that was they had run this team long enough that they knew that they could do it. Because they did so many similar things, it was just a question of putting it all together. They had that level of confidence to take on that level of uncertainty. And that's what it's like when your team becomes disruptive leaders. So, I look forward to the conversation, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about it.